Hey there, I'm Sunny Strasburg. I want to talk about something that has really been on my mind lately. There's so much happening in the collective sphere right now that's bringing up our relationship with authority. We're asking ourselves, are these people in these positions of power truly trustworthy? Do they have integrity? And what does being a leader mean? We're thinking about this with politicians and healthcare providers and famous people, really questioning who I thought I knew may not be the person that I thought they were, right? And this takes me back to concerns I've had for many, many years in the psychology field and in the psychedelic assisted psychotherapy field, and what I came to term the guru syndrome. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this and how to avoid giving your power away. I spoke about this in my book, The Theradelic Approach, in 2023. In-depth psychotherapy and in internal family systems and in psychedelic work, transference intensifies. And if you don't know what transference is, it occurs when feelings, expectations, or relationship patterns from your past are unconsciously projected onto someone in the present, such as a therapist, a facilitator, a political person, a politician, or a healthcare person on TikTok. We project that as if those internal projections are an earlier person on this current person. So in IFS terms, our exiles are very vulnerable parts within ourselves, really long to be rescued. Protectors look for an authority figure, and managers within our system want certainty, and the firefighters, those extreme parts, just want relief. So those of us who have been traumatized that have all of these parts often have these young parts who take us over, and they feel like they can't they feel like they can't trust their judgment because they've been hurt in the past. So they give their sovereignty away all too easily. And this is precisely the terrain where the guru syndrome can take root. If someone's not balanced and they have parts that are addicted to power or a narcissistic parts, they can pick up on that and they're drawn to that. And often people that have parts like that are drawn to different career paths where they do have authority over other people. This is really important to think about. So you have to be discerning when you're working with people that have a power differential over you, where you're giving a little bit of power away in order to heal or to be represented or to have a deeper understanding, right? So from an IFS lens, the central question is not whether a therapist is confident or charismatic. The question is whether the relationship increases self-leadership within the client. So asking this, does the facilitator or therapist relate to you as though your system is organized around an innate, undamaged core self? Internal family systems is based on the idea that it's a constraint release model, that we're removing the obstacles from our higher self being expressed, right? So the therapist as an authority is not telling you to become a different person, right? They're trying to help you be the best person that you can be. So does this person in this authority position subtly position themselves as the self in the room, as the authority, with this implied stance that your parts can't be trusted, that you need them in order to heal? In IFS, the therapist is not the expert on your internal world. We are a temporary scaffold for your own internal self energy to flourish. Curiosity, compassion, clarity, and courage. These qualities are not installed by the therapist. They are evoked and protected. And our goal is to create secure attachment and trust within your internal ecosystem, not to make clients depend on us as a permanent attachment figure. And it feels very different. When guru dynamics start to emerge, several shifts occur. Interpretation replaces inquiry. Certainty replaces curiosity. Hierarchy replaces collaboration. Instead of asking, how do you understand this part? The facilitator tells you what your part is. Instead of helping you unblend, they speak from a position of knowing. Instead of supporting your system to access its own wisdom, they become the locus of authority. In dream interpretation, if we're doing depth psychology, the therapist takes on the role of interpreting the dream for you instead of asking questions and allowing you to come up with what the symbols mean to you and your part system. So in psychedelic spaces, this risk increases because there's more of a power differential. Non-ordinary states amplify attachment needs and regression. Exiles may project savior energy onto the facilitator. Protectors may defer to perceived spiritual status. Without strong self-energy and ethical containment from the facilitator, this can crystallize into dependency. A self-led practitioner understands our role is of a midwife, not a guru. The midwife does not control the birth. She trusts the organism and its innate intelligence. She intervenes minimally, trusting the process. She respects pacing. She does not claim ownership over the process. Similarly, an IFS-informed psychedelic facilitator holds the frame, tracks protectors, protects exiles until the internal ecosystem can properly protect them, and continually orients the client back to their own self-energy. So you might ask yourself when you're interviewing therapists or psychedelic facilitators, when you're working with a therapist, ask yourself these questions. When I leave my sessions, do I feel more differentiated, more internally resourced, more capable of leading my system? Or do I feel increasingly reliant on this person to interpret my internal world? Does this therapist ask questions that expand my awareness? Or do they offer conclusions that I'm expected to adopt? Do they reinforce that I have everything I need for healing when my system is blended? Or do they subtly communicate that access to healing runs through them? The ethical stance is radical in its humility. The therapist does not heal you. Your self-energy does. The facilitator does not awaken you. They help create the conditions in which your own system can reorganize around self-leadership. Any approach that centralizes the practitioner rather than your internal authority from an IFS perspective is misaligned. The measure of integrity is simple and profound. Is yourself becoming more accessible, or is someone else trying to occupy that seat? The most potent energy to carry as a facilitator or a therapist is one of exquisite curiosity, constantly being open to having updates, to being creative to adjust the process, to trusting clients' internal ecosystem, and knowing that healing takes place naturally when the constraints that block healing are moved out of the path. I hope you found this helpful. I would love to hear your comments and your thoughts. Have an amazing day.